The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms. WABC New York, WRCR Haverstraw, and 107.1 WLIR Hampton Bays.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Oh, yeah, that's me. 5:02. Good morning. It is Thursday, May 28th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Could see a shower this morning. Clouds this afternoon, high 75. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 58. And then Friday, sunshine, high 79. If you are walking out the door with us right now, it's 67 and cloudy in Yonkers up in Westchester. 65 and cloudy in Morristown over in New Jersey. And it's 66 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Drivers in one Long Island town being attacked. Are those World Cup tickets being sold legit? A nurse details her 3-year-long stalking nightmare. Tears for 2 teenage fire victims in Westchester. And a fish that can walk on water has been spotted right here. All right, let's get into it at 5:03. Let's start with, unfortunately, some tragic stories. So this one will hopefully have a happy ending. But a 3-year-old girl is in the hospital this morning after falling out of a window in Glendale, Queens yesterday afternoon. And we're getting more details as we came to the air this morning. EMS raced to the scene on Myrtle Avenue, found this child on the ground, unconscious, lying there. People in the neighborhood raced over to help the little girl.
I looked and I saw the girl there. She was prone, unconscious. And there was a lot of people around to give her aid, and then I just went back inside the office.
Okay, so when this took place, the members of the family who were not in the apartment at the time, they raced over to find out what happened. Here's the little girl's aunt.
I don't know, I just hear, I just received a call from my sister-in-law and told me something happened, but I don't really know. I just want to know what happened.
Yeah, really distraught there. Detectives were speaking to witnesses, looking at security cameras into last night, trying to piece together exactly what happened. What's unclear right now is whether her parents were in the home at the time that she fell out the window.
Very upsetting and very depressing. And wondering what was going on, where the parents were, and just it's unfortunate, very sad.
Yeah, so the investigation is ongoing as we speak. Another tragic story, this one up in Westchester. We have all the details, or at least most of them at this point. This was one you may have heard about late yesterday. 2 teenagers, siblings, were caught in this fire in Cortlandt Manor up in Westchester yesterday morning. The 17-year-old girl, she passed away yesterday. Her 15-year-old brother, holding on. He's in critical condition after flames tore through this home. A neighbor who knew the kids well says everybody's just devastated.
I see the kids walking from the bus stop every day, the girl, the son. We've known them for years. The dog, Ace, was her best friend. It's just devastating.
Yeah, the dog died in this fire as well. Fire officials say it broke out in the middle of the night. And Westchester County Executive Ken Jenkins says the father of the victims is a Westchester County Corrections officer. And he says the family is just beside themselves. The mother was in the home. When firefighters arrived at the scene yesterday, she was screaming, "My kids are inside, my kids are inside."
They worked their tails off to get these individuals out from the ground ladder, out of the window, onto the floor where they're both found pulseless and not breathing.
Now, late yesterday, they told us that they believe the cause of this fire appears to be an overloaded power strip. 5:06, NYPD cops, I need your help. finding this creep, the NYPD searching for this man who broke into an 8-year-old girl's bedroom in the Bronx earlier this week. They released photos of him this morning. The man forced his way into this girl's bedroom through a window. It was about 5 in the morning on Tuesday. They say the girl woke up to the man exposing himself while performing a lewd act. This creep then took off. This was in the Wakefield section of the borough. NYPD, again, providing footage of this individual. We'll post it up at WABCRadio.com. In a moment, we'll tell you why those World Cup tickets you bought, if you have bought them, may not be exactly where you think they are. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:07, first check of traffic and transit on this early Thursday morning. Good morning, Joe Nolan.
Oh, boy. World Cup tickets.
Did you buy World Cup tickets?
No.
Okay.
You wouldn't catch me anywhere near that.
You're like a hockey guy. What else do you watch? Buy tickets for?
Buy tickets for? I'll buy football tickets when I have to, but I
that's right.
don't need to buy them because I get them.
You get them for free. You get to sit there and announce the game.
Yeah, and baseball. I go see the Yankees anywhere, anytime.
But hockey's your dedication because you're a season ticket holder,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Hockey, I love hockey. I love going to Newark and going to the games. Yeah, I love it.
No chance I get you to a World Cup game, though.
I didn't say that.
Just wouldn't pay for them.
Last time I went, I sat in one of the suites and we sat next to, who was that Irish sprinter, the runner back in the day? This is in the 80s. Anyway, my son Brad was like 8 years old, and he was jumping up and down crazy. He thought it was the greatest thing ever, but that was a long time ago.
Right.
But what's his name? I can't remember.
Oh, God, I can't help you with that one.
Yeah.
And everybody else is shaking their head, too. Nobody knows who it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody else.
It's not Conor McGregor. He's UFC.
No,
yeah.
He's a fighter. No, not him.
I know it would make a lot of Irish sprint, that's for sure. I know.
Yeah, well, that's true, too.
St. Patrick's Day would get
that
sprint.
Right, that's
get us at the end of the street and watch. Yeah.
WABC News Time 5:10. So FIFA is being subpoenaed by the Attorney Generals of New York and New Jersey over its World Cup ticket prices. It comes as New York City's offering that lottery system for discounted tickets to the World Cup match, and as New Jersey's complaining how come they're not getting lower price tickets.
That's painful for them. I wonder if that's state by state, so that's on their state.
Being from Jersey and with the stadium in Jersey, it's not fair if you're playing in Jersey. Give us the same benefits that you're giving people in New York.
Of course. So the Attorney Generals of New York and New Jersey say people who bought tickets outright have likely been misled about where their seats are actually located. This is outrageous because if you've seen the ticket prices for some of these games, they are outrageous. What fans are reporting is they bought tickets to sit in the areas closest to the field, but when they got the tickets, digital tickets sent to them either email or texted to them, they were assigned further back. They weren't in the seats that they bought. So now there's this investigation underway, and FIFA's had problems through the decades of all kinds of corrupt issues going on. This may be another one of them, and these attorney generals say they want to get to the bottom of it before the World Cup begins in just a couple weeks from right now. 5:11, let's go out to Long Island, where there are reports of an invasive species there that's freaking just everybody out.
And when it comes up, it pops the water and it pops that bait just explosively. I mean, it's just like a bada bing, bada boom thing. It's just awesome.
Authorities on Long Island are trying to contain an invasive species that's been spotted in a Suffolk County pond. For the first time, officials confirmed the presence of the northern snakehead fish, a dangerous predator known to decimate local species. Heidi O'Riordan with the State Department of Environmental Conservation says they have been shocking local waters to try to catch these fish.
Any native species we catch will just be released unharmed. They just have a little memory loss of what happened, and but the snakeheads will kill.
Lake Ronkonkoma is the largest freshwater lake on the island, so officials don't want anything to disturb the ecosystem. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
Yeah, that's just downright freaky. So these fish can walk, and we're going to hear from some of the fishermen who are trying to catch these fish coming up after 5:30. 5:12, let's go out to Washington State in this large chemical tank rupture that we've been following since Tuesday. So 2 are confirmed dead. 9 are still missing, but they are presumed dead as well after this large chemical tank ruptured in southwestern Washington state. Correspondent Morgan Chesky has more.
The now destroyed tank at a paper plant holding nearly 1 million gallons of hazardous liquid before rupturing, leaving at least one person dead and several more critically injured, including with chemical burns on site. The cause of the accident remains unknown.
Now, officials announcing they are suspending recovery operations at this Nippon Dinaware packaging company because the ongoing threat of exposure to what are corrosive chemicals and the instability of this tank, which holds about 90,000 gallons.
It's the latest toxic scare on the West Coast this week, after crews raced to contain another possible tank explosion in Orange County, California, with fears about toxic chemicals spreading. Overnight, officials confirming that threat has since been contained and lifted an evacuation order for tens of thousands.
Yeah, and yesterday you had this community come together. This is a small town where a lot of people work at this corporation. It employs a good amount of people in this small town. So you can imagine when this took place, everybody knows everybody. The pastor in this local town, he knows one of the people that was killed.
It's a big loss for their family because of Gilbert, the way he lived his life, the way he loved his family.
Yeah, and this man attended a vigil last night, said he shed a few tears.
Really a most tragic thing that's ever happened in Longview in my lifetime, and I've been here 71 years.
And then, of course, this is coming after, Morgan said, after this leaking chemical tank in Garden Grove, California. And there's still worries this thing could still catch fire. There could be another spill. The Orange County Fire Authority says there's been a hazard and a threat, though it's in a small area now, not as intense as it was over the weekend.
The current threat level still remains within that 300-foot diameter within those tanks. We are certain that that threat still remains there.
Yeah, so the internal temperature of this tank is down to what's a stable 91 degrees. And I'd be the first one to tell you, I don't totally understand what's dangerous and what's not. But apparently before, it was incredibly dangerous. And last night, you had people, members of this community, say, hey, do we want this factory, this plant in our town, if it's not being watched over more closely?
It's shocking to me that a company using MMA for manufacturing was allowed into a populated area.
Yeah, so this resident says the handling of the whole situation's been a mess from the beginning.
Everywhere I went that night and the days after, it was heartbreak after heartbreak. There is a lot more the city and the state and the government should have done for these people.
Yeah, just a mess out there, though it's gotten a little bit better for those people in Garden Grove, California. In a moment, we'll tell you about the latest on Ebola and how some people with Ebola potentially could be let through JFK Airport. That's not too frightening. No, we'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, which is not that far away from me right now.
That, Nolan? I mean, I'm like breathing down your neck.
You are. Your breath smells good. That's good.
yeah. That
I should explain that.
You said that after you slid a Tic Tac across the table here.
I should explain that I have moved this program from out in the hallway where I've done it for the last 3.5 years. Right. Into the big boy studio where Sid does his program.
Yeah, exactly.
And so now we are sitting right next to each other.
So then when you make me sit here for 2 minutes waiting for you to throw them to me for sports, now I'm just going to be sitting right here just staring into the back of your head.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I still will.
Yeah, I love it when it's rough. Yeah, you do love it when it's rough. That's true. Yeah. That is well documented. We'll start here in Kansas City. Garrett Cole struck out 10 while pitching into the 7th in a second stellar start since his return from Tommy John surgery. And the Yankees beat the Royals 7-0 to run their winning streak to 14 straight over KC. Cole threw 79 pitches over 6 2/3 innings, allowing 4 hits without a walk. Ben Royce had 3 RBI. Ryan McMahon hit a 2-run homer. And Paul Goldschmidt and Aaron Judge also drove in a run, sending the Yankees to their second sweep of the Royals this season. New York has won 22 of its last 23 series against them overall. Up next for the Yankees, an off day today before opening a 3-game weekend series against the Athletics in Sacramento tomorrow night. In Queens, Juan Soto homered again. Carson Bench provided 2 clutch singles, and the Mets pieced together a 4-2 victory over the Cincinnati Reds that snapped a 5-game losing streak. Eric Wagman also went deep in his first start for the last place Mets, who prevented a 3-game sweep and avoided falling a season worst first 12 games under 500. Brooks Raley and Luke Weaver each worked an inning and a third. Devin Williams walked the bases loaded in the ninth before striking out Dane Myers and Blake Dunn for his 8th save. Up next for the Mets, an off day today for them as well before welcoming in the Miami Marlins for the opener of a 3-game weekend series tomorrow night. Let's head to a look ahead on the NBA hardwood tonight. 8:30 p.m. start for the Thunder and the Spurs out in San Antonio. Western Conference Finals Game 6. Spurs head in there as 3.5-point home favorites with OKC leading the series 3-2. Of course, the winner of that Western Conference Finals will meet our New York Knicks in the NBA Finals starting next week. And a check-in on the ice as well. Your final from Montreal. Hurricanes blanking the Canadiens 4-0 in the Eastern Conference Final. Game 4 there. Carolina leading the series now 3-1. Of course, the winner meets Vegas in the Cup Finals. That is your Sports Gnome, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:19. Americans exposed to Ebola in Central Africa will reportedly be brought to Kenya now for observation and treatment.
The U.S. has already sent an American doctor who developed symptoms to a medical facility in Germany, while also sending 6 other U.S. citizens to be monitored in both Germany and the Czech Republic.
That's correspondent Nick Harper. During previous Ebola outbreaks, affected Americans were brought home to the U.S. The virus has so far killed at least 220 people, centered in the Democratic Republic of Congo, with neighboring countries at risk as well.
The plan has not yet been formally confirmed by the Trump administration, but according to the New York Times, it would see American citizens who might have been exposed to Ebola kept out of the U.S. Cases in the Democratic Republic of Congo and neighbouring Uganda have mushroomed in recent days, now topping roughly 1,000 patients and more than 200 deaths. Experts say aid funding, cut by the Trump administration last year, has exacerbated this latest outbreak, as it led to the closure of surveillance and detection networks and medical supply chains.
The World Health Organization is calling for a ceasefire in Congo to put health officials in a better position to contend with the Ebola outbreak. And back here at JFK Airport is one of 4 U.S. airports that's been named as a designated entry point for passengers arriving from African countries impacted by Ebola. So the CDC is going to allow some people from the Congo, South Sudan, Uganda, where Ebola is spreading unchecked, to enter the U.S., but only through these 4 airports, and one of them is JFK.
We cannot and will not allow any cases of Ebola to enter the United States.
Now, that Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the designated airports include JFK, Dulles in Virginia, Hartsfield in Atlanta, and George Bush International, that's in Houston.
It's concerning, but hopefully there's things in place now after COVID. Better that they're doing something rather than pretending it doesn't exist.
And before you come over here, it should be taken care of over there.
Yeah, those are some flyers at JFK yesterday saying, I don't know about this. The Secretary of State says there'll be enhanced Ebola screenings at JFK that'll include a questionnaire about travel history and any symptoms, a temperature check, and observation for signs of illness. Sounds like something we went through already, no? 5:22, the U.S. has carried out strikes on Iranian military sites that they say were posing a threat to U.S. forces and maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian media, though, reporting this morning that U.S. forces struck near an airport there in a port, and they say it caused no damage or casualties. Now, the president, he was talking about the war in Iran yesterday during a White House meeting and a cabinet meeting, and he warned that if a deal isn't reached with Iran soon, that the U.S. will have to, quote-unquote, finish the job.
They're negotiating on fumes, but we'll see what happens. Maybe we have to go back and finish it. Maybe we don't. Iran is very much intent. They want very much to make a deal. So far, they haven't gotten there. We're not satisfied with it, but we will be. We will be either that or we'll have to just finish the job.
Yeah, we keep having these stops and starts where it looked like a ceasefire deal is ready to go, to be signed off on, and then one side or the other backs away.
It looks like they want to just make a deal. They want to. I don't think they have a choice. They're just going back to the internet because they're getting clobbered. Their economy is in free fall. They have 250% inflation.
The president again reiterating yesterday that Iran could not be allowed to have a nuclear weapon and said there's something he's doing, and what he's doing is doing for the world, not just the U.S. And also during that cabinet meeting yesterday, you had Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying Cuba is in a lot of trouble. His discussion during this cabinet meeting at the White House.
Unfortunately for them, it's run by a bunch of incompetent communists. And being communist is bad. Being an incompetent communist is like the worst.
The Secretary of State says it's become a national security issue to have a failed state just 90 miles from our U.S.
The
shores.
country's been taken over by this company called Gaesa that basically controls 70% of the economy. None of the money in that company goes to help the Cuban people. None of it. Having a failed state 90 miles from our shores is a threat to the national security of the United States.
President Trump has previously said he wants to provide Cuba with humanitarian aid and open up Cuba for Cuban Americans who want to go back home or want to go back and help in Cuba. 524, did you see this CBS interview, or at least we are seeing small segments of it? Jill Biden, the former First Lady, says she thought her husband, former President Joe Biden, was having a stroke during his 2024 presidential debate. I think a lot of us thought something was going on. The debate prompted calls for the president at that time to drop out of the race after he stumbled and stammered his way through a lot of questions while debating Donald Trump. So the First Lady talking about this as she sat down for an interview with CBS News that will air over the weekend.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID.
You know, it's one of those ones I almost feel like I should go back and watch, because in real time you are like, what the hell is going on here? This is the leader of the free world stumbling and stammering his way through a presidential debate. And in this interview with CBS News, the former First Lady says she was frightened by what she saw, kind of like the rest of us.
If you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him to do whatever you want.
Do you remember at that time, then just Donald Trump, he was former president at that time, looking over at Joe Biden a number of times during this debate going, what? He thought the same thing we were thinking. What the hell's going on here? President Biden would eventually exit the race a month later and endorse Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. Of course, that did not work out so well for her. WABC News Time 526, the American Academy of Pediatrics says in a new policy statement that recess is incredibly important for school kids, but education experts say this should not be an excuse to expand playtime. The study's been talked about a lot over the last couple of days.
They don't need more recess. They need more actual focused instruction.
That's Sherry Sylvester with the Public Policy Education Foundation. She says that more than half of all public school kids can't read at grade level, and that she says that needs to be addressed before we talk about giving kids more recess.
Which we're finding is making a real difference across the board.
Yeah, she says recess is not the answer. She says more school time is the answer. But of course, as a kid, your favorite time of day was lunch and recess. WABC News Time 529. So for 10 days starting July 10th, registered trappers are encouraged to round up as many pythons as possible as part of the Florida Python Challenge. They've been doing this thing since 2013, and each year it gets a little bit bigger. So hunters go into the Everglades and they take down these pythons, which sounds like a frightening thing, but I guess if you have a gun, maybe less frightening.
This snake can grow to be 20 feet long and 200 pounds, totally destroying the food chain.
And that's why they want to get rid of them in order to save the Everglades. And what the South Florida Water Management says is the largest environmental restoration ever attempted. He says they need to partner with people to get rid of these pythons, these non-native snakes that are taking everything down.
There's no silver bullet to this job, and it takes partnership
It takes bold action and, yes, the engagement of Floridians, of citizens that also want to be part of the solution.
Yeah, so this event just gets bigger by the year. I mean, this registration usually fills up really quickly. And so for 10 days, you take down as many pythons as you can. I guess you drag them out of the woods, kind of like during the bear hunt in New Jersey.
It's a good day for the Everglades and a bad day to be a python.
Yeah, sure is. So this year's grand prize is $10,000. Not too bad. The Florida Python Challenge began in 2013 with nearly 300 pythons removed during last year's event.
WABC New York, WRCR Haverstraw, and 107.1 WLIR Hampton Bays.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, May 28th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Could see a pop-up shower this morning. Clouds this afternoon, high 75. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 58. And then Friday, just the beauty of the day. Sunshine, high 79. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. It's 67 and cloudy in Yonkers up in Westchester. 65 and cloudy in Morristown over in New Jersey. And it's 66 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 5:41. Let's go out to Long Island. Just a crazy story. So drivers are on edge in Bayville out on Long Island after attempted attacks on multiple cars. So this is just bizarre. One woman says she had this really scary moment on Monday night. So she's driving down Bayville Avenue when a black Mercedes passes her, stops in front of her car. She says then another white car blocks her from behind. A passenger gets out of the Mercedes, starts running towards her vehicle, slams his fist on the side of her car as she then tries to speed away. Now, she wasn't hurt. She raced to a local fire station to file a report, but she wasn't the only one that had something like this happen to her. Neighbors hearing about others.
I was actually shocked. I grew up in Bayville, and, in 60 years, I've never ever even heard of anything remotely as violent, as scary as that. I don't know what I would have done, but I might have used my vehicle as self-defense.
Yeah.
So those kids were lucky that they didn't get hurt.
Yeah, another video that's circulating on social media shows the same thing happening to another driver. Now, is this like a TikTok thing? Did they want to cause harm? We just don't know. Police are looking for this crew. It looks like kids. This time, the second time, the wanted, again, they look like kids, grabbed baseball bats and ran at the victim's car. So now that's two separate attacks. Seems like it's the same group of kids.
If somebody is approaching me in the intent to harm me, then I'm going to react the same way.
Yeah, so the mayor of Bayville so far not commenting on it because he says it's an active investigation. Neighbors telling News 12 that they're paying extra attention when they drive through Bayville now.
Everyone knows everyone, so to hear that someone would do that to some of our neighbors is really scary.
Yeah, I mean, eventually they'll catch up with them, and now I've just started to figure out if this is one of those dopey viral TikTok things. Is it something more sinister? We just don't know. 5:43, a devastated New York City mom who lost her son to subway surfing is speaking out. She continues to. This woman's really a hero. So her 14-year-old boy was killed. And there was another subway surfing incident over the weekend. You might have missed it because everybody was busy with the Memorial Day weekend. But a 14-year-old was killed, and an 18-year-old was critically injured on Friday while riding atop a subway train that was headed over the Williamsburg Bridge. That was the site of heartbreak for Norma Nazario back in 2023 when she lost her teenage son, Zachary, to subway surfing. And she has spent her time since then. I mean, the rest of us might crawl into a hole after have something like that after losing a child, but she hasn't. She says she wants to warn every single kid who thinks this is cool and something to put up on TikTok that you shouldn't do it because the same thing may happen to you that happened to her son, Zachary, back in 2023.
It impacted me heavily more because it was the same train and the same
bridge.
So the NYPD was holding a press conference yesterday, warning people because they see more subway surfers out there. They're doing everything to stop these kids, but they're enticed by social media to perform this dangerous, life-threatening stunt because it gets thousands of likes on TikTok and other social media platforms. The head of transit, his name is Joseph Galata, says subway surfers tend to be repeat offenders. You know, if they do it once and they get through it and it's all exciting, they do it a second time.
Before school and after school, they are riding on top of that subway.
Yeah, and Norma Nazario warning again teens that you just shouldn't do it.
Just please stop sober surfing.
Yeah, good for her to being out there warning those kids. Hopefully, some of those kids are hearing her message. In a moment, we'll tell you about a nurse and her 3-year-long nightmare with a stalker out on Long Island. We'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, which may be a little too close for you.
So
I don't
funny?
know.
You want me to sit over there?
It's so bizarre. For 3 years, I've been staring at you through glass.
I could sit in my producer chair over there.
No,
through
it's
the glass.
fine.
I could sit through the glass, and then you don't want to have to smell me. You won't have to.
I this way I can hold hands with you. I mean, all kinds of things could happen.
Play footsie.
Yes, yeah.
There's a lot that could be going on under this desk. Who knows?
Yeah.
A lot of question marks there. No, I'm waiting.
And Lou is watching on, waiting to see what happens.
Sitting in the corner there. Nice. Sports sponsored by Pete Morgan of Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. In Kansas City, Garrett Cole struck out 10 while pitching into the 7th in a second stellar start since his return from Tommy John surgery. And the Yankees beat the Royals 7-0 to run their winning streak to 14 straight over KC. Cole threw 79 pitches over 6 2/3 innings, allowing 4 hits without a walk. Ben Rice had 3 RBI. Ryan McMahon hit a 2-run homer, and Paul Goldschmidt and Aaron Judge also drove in runs, sending the Yankees to their second sweep of the Royals this season. New York has won 22 of its last 23 series against them overall. Up next for the Yanks, an off day today before opening a 3-game weekend set against the Athletics in Sacramento tomorrow night. In Queens, Juan Soto homered again. Carson Bench provided 2 clutch singles, and the Mets pieced together a 4-2 victory over the Reds. It snapped a 5-game losing streak. Eric Wagman also went deep in his first start for the last-place Mets, who prevented a 3-game sweep and avoided falling a season-worst 12 games under 500. Brooks O'Reilly and Luke Weaver each worked an inning and a third. Devin Williams walked the bases loaded in the 9th before striking out Dane Myers and Blake Dunn for his 8th save. Up next for the Mets, an off day today for them as well, before welcoming in the Miami Marlins for the opener of a 3-game weekend series tomorrow night. Let's head to the NBA. We'll look ahead to tonight at 8:30. Thunder and Spurs picking up their Western Conference Finals series with Game 6. OKC leading that series 3-2 currently. Spurs are a 3.5-point favorites heading into that home contest tonight. Of course, the winner of that series will face our Knicks in the NBA Finals starting next week. To check in on the NHL playoffs as well, your final for Montreal. Hurricanes blanking the Canadiens 4-0. They jump out to a 3-1 series lead in the Eastern Conference Final after yesterday's win in Game 4. The winner, of course, meets Vegas in the Stanley Cup Finals. That is your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC news time 5:49. So the World Cup matches begin in 2 weeks. It's going to be a crazy time for security, police here in the city because you have all these large-scale events all happening at the exact same time. You have the World Cup matches, then you have the Sail Forth, which is for the 250th birthday of America. All these ships are going to sail in. Then you have the Knicks playing. And so yesterday, security officials got together at the Javits Center to make sure all the bases were covered. Dozens of city and state agencies gathered for a meeting of the Disaster Preparedness Commission as officials plan for these high-profile events.
We're combining Fleet Week with Sail Forth and FIFA, and now thankfully we've got the Knicks as well. So this is going to tax our public safety infrastructure.
Oh, and throw in there that President Trump is planning to come to at least one of the NBA final games at the Garden. So that's part of it. You had NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch saying yesterday that she's informed officers that they'll be required to work 12-hour shifts from July 1st to July 7th to cover everything that is going on in the city. Governor Hochul talking about this as well yesterday.
From my cybersecurity experts to my homeland security expert, my emergency management experts, my traffic experts have been gathering with great regularity, table topping all the exercises and gaming out all the scenarios.
Justin Brannon, he was the former city council member. He is the senior director of major event operations for the governor's office. So he took part in this emergency preparedness meeting that took place as well yesterday.
This is the highest level security. I mean, we're talking the FBI, Secret Service, NCIS. I mean, it really is all hands on deck for it's a once in a lifetime summer, and we're not exaggerating, right? We have a lot of things happening at once, and we want New Yorkers to know that we're worrying so they don't have to worry.
Now, New Jersey Transit, by the way, yesterday warning that riders should be prepared for chaos if the NBA Finals reach Game 6 at the Garden on June 16th, because it will overlap the World Cup game. So I guess we want the Knicks to sweep anyway. So, but if they don't sweep, whoever they end up playing, whether it be San Antonio or Oklahoma City, and it goes to a Game 6, that would be the same day as France is taking on Senegal for a 3 p.m. match at MetLife Stadium. We've already told you what a mess it is for New Jersey Transit to get riders out to the stadiums. Now they're telling basically all hell's going to break loose if there's a Game 6, and that maybe, this is their idea, maybe if you can, that would be a day you want to work from home. New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill laying out some guardrails yesterday for data centers that are burdening utility customers across the state. The governor's plan centers on what she says is transparency.
The first comprehensive strategy across the country like this. It's a 4-part plan to make data centers pay their fair share by bringing their own energy to the table.
That means these data centers would be required to pay for the stress that they're putting on the state's power grid and release a biannual report to show how much water and energy they're actually using, which is a lot, by the way.
I've been clear. I'm on a mission to drive down energy costs in our state. This is an important part of that. It's government doing its job.
Governor's also calling for these data centers to invest back in their communities they build in and create good-paying jobs. Let's talk about a different governor. Governor Kathy Hochul yesterday signing legislation here in New York that reforms car insurance laws that she says will result in New Yorkers' car insurance rates being lowered.
No longer will an insurance company be able to set your rates based on your zip code, your job, or your educational ability. And they had been doing that for years, making it more expensive.
Yeah, she says it's about time that New Yorkers get a break.
When our reforms kick in, hard-working New Yorkers will be the beneficiaries. They'll have lower insurance bills instead of the insurance executives taking home bigger profits.
Yeah, so there's still no sign, by the way, of a budget deal. Well, there's some saying that something could be done by the end of the week, but the state budget here in New York is already, 2 months late?
So I don't set the timetable on how long it takes for the legislature to understand this is my priority and I want to get this done, and that's their timetable. And they have a lot of questions, a lot of changes, and a lot of input. That's part of the process.
Yeah, so there's been 15 budget extenders passed already. Now, they say they think they can get something done by the end of the week, but of course they said that a couple weeks ago. A Long Island school will keep its Warrior team name under a newly proposed state law.
New York state law bans any Native American-themed mascots and logos. However, a new bill from State Senator Stephen Rhodes would make Wantagh School District exempt from the ban. 3 Democrats sided with Republicans in support of moving the bill through the Education Committee one step closer to a floor vote. Wantagh was also granted an extension earlier this year from the State Department of Education, allowing the school to keep the name at least for another year until June 2027. I'm Liz Randabali for 77 WABC News.
Let's stay out on Long Island, where a nurse there claims that she has been stalked, harassed, and has had death threats from an individual from Bayonne, New Jersey, for 3 years now. She claims she received violent threats, unwanted gifts, thousands of sexually explicit messages, and even a late-night uninvited visit. And now 3 years later, finally this guy is in court. And how it all started is that she put an innocent listing to sell an iPhone on Facebook Marketplace, and this creep responded. And since then, she says he has harassed her to no end.
You know, this has escalated from Facebook to finding my phone number, to text messages, to finding my parents' address, to packages, to physically showing up. I can never fully just relax because there's always some worry that I can turn my head and he's there, or he sends someone to me.
Yeah, so she showed up in court yesterday. She had to face him, which of course she did not want to do, but she says she wants the book to be thrown at him. Here's her lawyer.
I told her, and I quote, you'll be the perfect victim. I created you to be the perfect victim.
Yeah, so she said he allegedly sent her sexually explicit images. She blocked him, relentlessly tried to make contact with her ever since. Again, this is going on for 3 years, and she claims the police did not take her seriously until recently.
So even though I don't want to be here and I don't want to see him, I do think it's important, especially for the changes that I want to make in the future once this part is over with, for other women and for other people.
Yeah, so this 47-year-old, it's not really clear what's going to happen to him. He's expected to face charges, including felony for this alleged stalking and harassment of this woman. That, according to prosecutors, she wants him, of course, to be kept behind bars. Not clear that is going to happen.
I need to stand in my power and show up regardless, because that's what really matters here. But it feels really strange to be in the same room as him.
Yes, so the good part is the grand jury indictment is expected to be unsealed a little bit later today. We'll get a better sense of what he's facing, and this poor woman who's faced a lot over the last 3 years.